Let's not sugarcoat this. Meghan Markle has a pattern, one that no one really wants to say out loud. It's not just about ghosting her father, turning her back on the royal family, or reshaping her public image like a carefully curated Pinterest board. It runs deeper, much deeper, because when you look closely at her past, there's a disturbing trend, one where loyalty seems to depend not on friendship or values, but on utility. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is the kind of story mainstream media avoids, but we go deep. No filters, no fluff. Game she's really playing. Now back to the story. Jessica Mulroney, that name used to mean something in Meghan's world. She wasn't just a stylist or a social media buddy. Jessica was a pillar in Meghan's life, a confidant. A sister in arms, the woman who quite literally styled her into the Duchess image. We first saw walk the halls of royalty. Ivy, Jessica's daughter, was even a flower girl at the royal wedding, walking alongside Princess Charlotte. That wasn't coincidence. That was inner circle status. And yet, all it took was one social media controversy to burn that bridge to ash. Jessica found herself in the middle of an Instagram scandal involving race, privilege, and an influencer feud that exploded online. Was it a good look? No. Was it something that could be addressed, clarified, or even forgiven? Absolutely. But instead of a public defense or even a quiet behind-the-scenes resolution, Meghan Markle went silent. No comment, no context, no clarification. Jessica was simply erased. She posted sweet tributes on Meghan's birthday. She shared vague quotes about friendship and betrayal. She kept her tone gracious even when the press began circling like vultures. But behind that poised exterior, it was clear Jessica had been dropped. Not because she'd done something unforgivable, but because she was no longer useful. The glitzy hills of Los Angeles. Another name stands tall in Meghan's story: Tyler Perry. This man didn't just help, he opened his kingdom. When Harry and Meghan bolted from Britain, it was Perry who gave them his $18 million Beverly Hills estate, complete with staff, security, and privacy. He lent them his private jet. World was calling them traitors. He was more than a friend. He was a benefactor, a guardian, a lifeline. And now, he's in trouble. Real trouble. Tyler Perry is currently facing a $260 million lawsuit from a former actor named Derek Dixon. The allegations are serious. Not Twitter drama, serious real world, court of law serious. Dixon claims Perry fostered a hostile work environment, made inappropriate and sexually charged remarks, and used his power to blur personal and professional boundaries. In other words, workplace harassment of the highest order. And Meghan has nothing to say. Not a tweet. Not a reposted quote about justice. Not even one of those vague Instagram stories saying, "Believe survivors." Nothing now, remember? This is the same Meghan Markle who stood on global stages preaching about women's empowerment, about speaking up, about doing the hard thing even when it's uncomfortable. She's appeared in documentaries, award shows, and magazine covers, all anchored in the identity of being a truth teller, a fighter for justice. So, where's that energy now? Why does Jessica get discarded for a controversy she didn't even start? While Tyler, accused in a full legal filing, gets complete silence. The answer isn't complicated, it's brutal. Power: Tyler Perry is still valuable. He still has a jet, an empire, a media network, and friends in very high places. Jessica Mulroney, her show was canceled, her brand partnerships disappeared, and most importantly, her value to Meghan's new image evaporated. What we're watching isn't friendship. It's chess. Every move Meghan and Harry make is calculated. They didn't become global influencers by chance. They know how narratives work. They know when to speak up and, more importantly, when to stay quiet. But this isn't just about a friend being ghosted or an ally being protected. This is about the hypocrisy at the heart of everything they say they stand for. Asterisk, let's get into the lawsuit itself, because it's not some anonymous whisper or tabloid speculation. Derek Dixon, the man accusing Tyler Perry, has gone on the record. He's not hiding behind lawyers or pseudonyms. He's naming names, dates, and detailing a pattern of behavior that is as disturbing as it is damaging. According to the lawsuit, Dixon claims that during his time working with Tyler Perry Studios, he was subjected to persistent inappropriate comments and suggestive advances, psychologically manipulative encounters. In his own words, Dixon says he felt trapped, caught between his dream career and the unwanted attention of a man who had total control over his future in entertainment. This isn't just uncomfortably, it's dangerous. And it puts Meghan and Harry in a uniquely awkward position. Because let's not forget, these are the same people who demanded justice and transparency from the British royal family. The same couple who accused the institution of racism, emotional neglect, and toxic silence. The same couple who pushed for their truth to be heard on Netflix, on Oprah, and in multiple tell-all interviews. So why the silence now? Why are the champions of Speak Your Truth suddenly experts in strategic silence? Let's go back to Jessica Mulroney for a moment. Her controversy, as damaging as it may have seemed in the social media sphere, never rose to the level of legal action. She didn't harm anyone physically. She didn't face lawsuits. She didn't ruin lives. She made a public misstep in a highly sensitive cultural moment. And Meghan let her drown. Brands fled. Sponsors vanished. Jessica was left to pick up the pieces, all while pretending nothing had happened, because the one person who could have changed the narrative in open court of abuse and harassment. And yet Meghan hasn't lifted a finger to even acknowledge the unfolding scandal. Why? Because Tyler Perry is still powerful. He's not just a friend, he's a gatekeeper. He controls access to Hollywood, $2 billion deals, to political influence. He's tied to the Obamas. He's a mainstay at every A-list event. In the game Meghan and Harry are playing, Tyler is the kingmaker, and kings don't get called out. That's the real story here. This isn't about truth. This isn't about loyalty. This is about strategy. It's about keeping doors open. It's about self-preservation, and it's about the quiet twist either. Tyler Perry has long presented himself as a straight man in the public eye, and for years Hollywood whispered about his sexuality, but it was always just that, whispers. He would bat away rumors with deflections, like, if you think I'm gay, send your girlfriend over. But Derek Dixon's claims bring those whispers into harsh daylight because, according to the lawsuit, Perry's alleged behavior wasn't just unprofessional, it was deeply personal. Lines were crossed, power was abused, and identity became a mask, not a truth. And still, Meghan remains silent. It's almost poetic, isn't it? That the woman who once demanded the monarchy address its shadows now hides behind her own. The silence is louder than any statement, and the people are starting to notice. The press, the public, even former insiders are beginning to connect the dots. Meghan's loyalty isn't based on character or conviction, it's transactional. If you're useful, you stay. If not, you're gone. Just ask her father, her siblings, her former staff. And of course, Jessica, even Doria, Meghan's mother. And once her most visible supporter has reportedly stepped back, quietly, gracefully, but noticeably. That doesn't happen without reason. People don't pull away from someone at the peak of fame unless they feel like their role has become performative. And that's what this all feels like. Performance, the carefully staged Netflix scenes, the filtered Instagram posts, the branded podcast snippets. It's not authenticity, it's packaging. And in that world, people become props. Jessica Mulroney was a stylist, a friend, and a symbol of Meghan's former life in Canada. But when that life no longer fit the new Royal Meets Hollywood narrative, she was written out. Tyler Perry, on the other hand, fits the new story. He's wealthy, well-connected, and useful. This script is starting to fall apart because no matter how carefully you curate an image, truth has a way of leaking through. People are waking up. They're realizing that the Meghan Markle brand, this polished, progressive, truth-seeking powerhouse, isn't quite what it seems. Beneath the speeches and the stylized magazine covers is a much colder machine, one that runs on image control and calculated relationships. Think about it. The woman who claimed she wanted to use her voice for those who couldn't is now mute when a billion-dollar Hollywood figure is accused of silencing others. The couple who demanded the royal family address racism and toxicity won't even whisper a word when one of their closest allies is accused of the same, if not worse. It's a pattern, and people are starting to call it out. Even the press, once sympathetic, is slowly shifting. Articles that once praised their bravery now question their contradictions. Insiders who were once sworn to secrecy are leaking stories, text messages, and behind-the-scenes details. Because when you burn enough bridges, someone is bound to start talking. Jessica Mulroney is just the most public example. She helped Meghan shape her look, her brand, her introduction to the global stage. She stood beside her in the biggest moment of her life, the royal wedding. And then, just like that, she was gone. No statement, no nuance, no defense. Now she's quietly trying to rebuild. She posts photos with her kids, attends charity events, hints at a new project here and there, but there's a shadow over her. Not because she was canceled by the public, but because she was erased by someone she once called a sister. And if that's how Meghan treats her inner circle, what hope is there for anyone else? The silence surrounding Tyler Perry isn't just a PR strategy. It's a signal. A signal to everyone watching that the rules only apply when convenient. That Meghan and Harry's so-called values come with fine print. That justice, accountability, and truth-telling are negotiable unless you're a threat to their image. If Tyler Perry weren't rich, if he didn't open his mansion to them, if he didn't have connections to Netflix, Oprah, or Obama, Do you think Meghan would still be silent? Of course not. She would have issued a statement by now. She would have posted a cryptic quote about doing the hard thing or supporting victims even when it's uncomfortable. But Tyler is still in the inner circle, still a piece on the chessboard, and Meghan doesn't take out her own pieces. She just replaces the ones that stop moving forward. It's brutal, but it's effective. And for a while it worked. Meghan and Harry built an empire out of victimhood, out of standing up to the firm, out of telling their truth. But the problem with building your brand on morality is that people start watching closely. They expect consistency, and when that consistency disappears, so does the trust. The lawsuit against Tyler Perry isn't going away. The media is circling. Legal teams are engaged. The accusations are being combed through and investigated. And still no word from MONTECITO.no. Solidarity post. No vague acknowledgement. No sign that they even care. Why? Because Perry still opens doors. And Jessica opens none. And that's what it all comes down to. In Meghan's world, you're not a friend. You're not family. You're a resource. And the second that changes, you become a memory. Even within the royal family, as much as Meghan has criticized them, they had rules. Cold, outdated, frustrating rules, but they were consistent. You knew where you stood. There were protocols. There were consequences. The firm didn't ghost people, they distanced them. Sure, but within an understood system, Meghan, by contrast, operates on vibes. One day, you're invited. The next, you're gone. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And it's starting to show. The cracks are forming in the glossy surface. People are asking questions they wouldn't have dared ask 2 years ago. They're wondering who's next. Because once you recognize the pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. Tyler Perry may survive this scandal, or he may not. But Meghan's silence in the face of it says more about her than about him, because silence is a choice. And right now, that choice speaks volumes. Tyler Perry's scandal isn't just a Hollywood headline, it's a test. A test of values, of consistency, of character, and Meghan Markle alongside Prince Harry is failing it. This is the couple that told the world they wanted to build something better, a new kind of legacy, one rooted in compassion, justice, and truth. But what we're seeing now is a mirror image of the very institutions they claimed to escape. Because when push comes to shove, it's not about standing up. It's about staying in control. It's about silence when it benefits them and outrage. When it builds their brand, that's the real story. Jessica Mulroney made the mistake of no longer being useful. One online controversy, and she was gone. No grace, no defense, just deletion. And the world watched in silence, unsure of what really happened. Now Tyler Perry, a man accused of something far more serious, is protected by the very same silence. Not because he's innocent or guilty, but because he's powerful. And that tells us everything we need to know. This isn't about justice, it's about access. It's not about integrity. It's about image. Meghan and Harry built an empire on the illusion of moral high ground, but illusions don't last forever. Eventually, the audience starts to see the wires. Eventually, the curtain slips, and what's behind it isn't bravery, it's branding. The question now is, how long can they keep up the act? Because this isn't just about Tyler or Jessica. It's about everyone who's ever crossed paths with the Sussexes and found themselves pushed out, cut off, or ignored the second they stopped being convenient. It's about the staffers who left, the friends who disappeared, the family members who were cast aside like liabilities. It's about a pattern of calculated loyalty, selective outrage, and strategic silence. And it's happening in real time. Meghan's silence on Tyler Perry isn't neutral. It's a message that power still protects power, that justice only matters when it aligns with personal branding, that friendship is only worth fighting for if it opens the right doors. So as Derek Dixon prepares to face Tyler Perry in court, and Jessica Mulroney continues to quietly rebuild her life, Meghan Markle sits in the shadows, calculating, watching, choosing. Because in her world, silence isn't weakness, it's control. But here's the thing, control only lasts as long as people stay silent. And people are starting to talk. If you found this video eye-opening, don't let the story end here. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment, tell us what you think about Meghan's loyalty, Tyler Perry's lawsuit, and Jessica Mulroney's disappearance from her life. Let your voice be heard, because in a world where silence is strategy, truth is rebellion.